Granules India is not cheap anymore, but it's also not overheated. The stock has already broken into all-time highs and now it's pulling back perfectly and retesting the breakout zone. This is where strong trends either continue aggressively or fail. Okay, Granules, if you take a look at their monthly chart, it's one of the cleanest pharma structures that I've seen in the market. No vertical mania, no 1 week operator spikes, just a long accumulation phase between 300 to 500, followed by structured breakouts into all time highs. Now, the important part, the price has already confirmed all time high at around 760, and after making that high, it pulled down to 730. That matters because that 730 range is not random. That was the previous breakout level, the previous resistance. Now the price is testing it as a support. That's textbook breakout retest behavior. Now on the weekly chart, this becomes extremely clean and simple to understand. The stock moved from 430 lows all the way to 760 highs, and that's almost a 75% move in under a year. If you see, the most important thing to see over here is how it moved. Clear higher highs, higher lows, consolidation, breakout, repeat behavior. And the pullback volume is actually much lower than the breakout levels, breakout volume. Okay, let's take a look at the daily chart now. This is where the execution really matters. Every resistance from 475 onwards became a support. Let's just take an example. Over here, a slight pullback, right? A slight pullback. What happened here was it acted as a support and prices bounced right back up from it. That's extremely important because it's purely just higher highs and higher lows. Now the key trigger is 745. But if 710 breaks actually, right, the price will likely visit the 680 to 700 zone. And that's a fair value gap. And honestly, that would be an extremely strong entry for me because that's where inefficiency exists. Now, fundamentally, let's try to understand the company, right? If you just take a look at their financials, they've been growing at a very amazing rate. And the reason for that is Granules is vertically integrated. That's their moat. They manufacture APIs, PFIs, finished dosages. They don't depend on external API sourcing. So when input prices rise, margins stay protected, right? Now, revenue is up 20%, EBITDA up 25%. Now, quarter four of 2026 was actually stronger. Their revenue hit record highs. PAT jumped 33%. That's real profitability expansion. Now, the biggest asset that they have as of right now is actually, if you come and take a look at the debt to equity ratio, it's only at 0.34, right? That's extremely healthy. This is one of the biggest change in the company balance sheet. And that's what makes the company extremely powerful. Their biggest hidden story, however, is Europe. North America still dominates the revenue, but Europe's contribution jumped from 8% to 17%. That's massive, right? So, European peptide and CDMO businesses carry much higher margins, 30 to 40% EBITDA margins in some cases. So, as Europe scales without needing explosive revenue growth, their margins automatically improve. Now, their FDA angle, there was a US packaging facility that recently got a zero observation FDA inspection. That means FDA found nothing serious to flag, and that removes a major risk premium from the stock. And the market is starting to price that in now as well. Okay, now peers, right? DV's lab trades at a much higher multiple. Loris Labs also trades richer despite weaker structure. Granules at roughly 43x earnings is still cheaper on a growth adjusted basis. And right now, that is exactly why the stock is outperforming, right? Its execution trend is actually improving faster. Okay, how would I trade Granules? That's the most important thing. What I would be looking for is a slightly bigger pullback, right? If 710 breaks, that's because that is the FVG demand zone. Okay, the way I would be doing that is I would be looking out for the 710 range, buy 100, once again 710. I'd create a GTT over there for a single buy order. And right after that, what I would do is I would create a sell order with my stop loss being around, let's say 580 or 5. Yeah, 580. 580. And my trigger price would be somewhere around, I would go for around 900, right? Or actually, let's go for 950. 100 and 950. And that is how I would trade granules. Thanks a lot for watching.